Ready to level up that vocabulary? We are, right? Back again for another deep dive.
Always exciting to dig into some interesting stuff.
This time we're tackling a podcast episode all about giving our words a makeover. Like ditching those tired old words we all use like, I don't know, a million times a day.
You know, those ones that are just, well, kind of...
Exactly. Like good, bad, happy, you get the picture.
The bread and butter of conversation. But sometimes you need a little something more.
Right. This episode, we're exploring some alternatives, words with a little more oomph.
I like that. A little linguistic spice.
The episode starts off with this quote, and I feel like they were reading my mind. It says, have you ever felt like you keep repeating the same basic words, like good, bad, happy, or important?
Oh, all the time. It's like our vocabulary's stuck on autopilot. But why do you think they call this out? What's the big deal about using more, let's say, sophisticated words?
Well, the episode makes a good point. It's not just about sounding smarter, though. That's a nice bonus.
Sure.
It's about expressing yourself more accurately, like hitting the bullseye with the perfect word.
Precision is key. You know, using exceptional instead of just good paints a whole different picture.
And it can make you sound more, I don't know, confident.
Oh, definitely. Someone with a strong vocabulary just commands attention, you know, like they know what they're talking about.
And let's be honest, it makes a good impression, right?
Whether it's a job interview, a presentation, or even just chatting with friends, the right words can really make you stand out.
Okay, so we're all on board with the why. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. What are some of these awesome alternatives they suggest?
Well, they start with good. We all use it, right? But sometimes good just doesn't cut it.
Totally. Like, what if you're trying to describe something truly amazing?
Good just falls flat. The episode suggests exceptional as a step up. Not just good, but way above average.
Exceptional. I like the sound of that.
They give this example. The service at the restaurant was exceptional.
Oh, I can totally see that. But, and maybe I'm nitpicking here, don't you think people sometimes overuse exceptional?
Interesting point. Like when something is just, well, pretty good, but not mind-blowing.
Yeah, exactly. And then it loses its power, right?
Absolutely. Exceptional should be reserved for those truly remarkable instances, those that leave a lasting impression.
Got it. Save it for the special stuff. What about remarkable? I feel like that one gets thrown around a lot too.
Remarkable definitely has a certain energy to it. It implies something unusual, worthy of attention.
True. It's not just good, it's something that makes you take notice, like, wow, that's cool.
The episode uses the example, she did a remarkable job on the project. Makes sense. But I wonder, how would you say remarkable is different from outstanding? They seem pretty similar to me.
Yeah, that's a good question. I sometimes get those two mixed up.
While both definitely convey a sense of excellence, outstanding has this stronger sense of distinction.
Distinction, like standing out from the crowd.
Exactly. Exceeding expectations in a way that demands recognition. Like you can't ignore it.
Ooh, I see the difference now. So an outstanding performance is one that's not just good, it's memorable.
Precisely. It stays with you.
The last word they offer as a good alternative is impressive.
And they define impressive as something that elicits admiration or respect. Makes sense.
The example is, the results were impressive given the circumstances. What do you think of that one?
Impressive is interesting because it focuses on the effect something has on the observer. It might not be the absolute best, but it leaves a mark. Makes you think, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's about exceeding expectations, maybe even defying the odds. Okay, so we've got exceptional, remarkable, outstanding, and impressive as our good upgrades. I'm already feeling more eloquent.
Me too. It's amazing how just swapping out a word can completely change the vibe.
Totally. Okay, ready to tackle bad.
Bring on the negativity.
The first alternative is, well, intense. Are you ready for this?
Hit me with it.
Atrocious.
Whoa. That's not just bad. That's seriously bad. Like way beyond meh.
The podcast doesn't hold back. They use the example. The conditions in the factory were atrocious. That's heavy.
It paints a pretty grim picture. Definitely evokes a strong reaction.
Do you think sometimes using such a strong word can be a bit much? Especially if you're trying to get someone on your side, you know?
Good point. It depends on the context. Atrocious has a lot of weight to it.
Right. It's like, are you trying to start a conversation or an argument?
Exactly. Sometimes a softer touch might be more effective. So what's next on the list?
Okay, this one's a bit more, how should I put it? Diplomatic.
Lay it on me.
Subpar.
Ah, subpar. A classic way of expressing disappointment without going overboard. Like you expected better, but it's not the end of the world.
The podcast gives the example. The presentation was subpar and lacked key details. Yeah, it could have been better, but it wasn't a total train wreck.
Exactly. It's like the meh of negative adjectives. So we've gone from super intense to kind of meh. What else have they got?
All right, this one, I think we've all been there. How many times have you said something is dreadful?
Oh, countless times, I'm sure. It's like the go-to for anything slightly unpleasant.
Right. But the podcast suggests branching out, using more nuanced words to express that negativity. What are some alternatives you like?
Well, if you're going for that feeling of gloom, like the weather's got you down, maybe dismal or bleak would fit.
Ooh, those have a certain poetic feel.
But if it's more about disappointment, unfortunate, or even just plain disappointing, could work.
So, getting specific with our negativity, I like it. The last alternative for bad is inferior.
Inferior. That one's all about comparison, isn't it?
Yeah, the podcast defines it as of lower quality. Their example is the material felt inferior compared to other brands. Do you think inferior always has to be negative?
That's a good question. It often implies something's not as good as something else.
Right, but couldn't it also be like a neutral observation?
Absolutely. Like in a scientific context, you might say one species is inferior in size to another without implying a value judgment. It's just a fact.
Okay, I'm seeing how context is key with these words. We've covered good and bad, which is honestly a lot more complex than I thought. Ready for a dose of positivity?
Bring on the good vibes.
Let's talk about happy.
Ah, everyone's favorite emotion. But even happy can get repetitive, right?
Definitely. What do they suggest as, I don't know, a happiness upgrade?
Well, the first one is pure joy. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Ecstatic.
Ecstatic. I love that word. It's like bursting with happiness, can't contain yourself kind of joy.
Exactly. The podcast uses the example. She was ecstatic when she got the job offer. I can picture it, jumping up and down, screaming with joy.
Who wouldn't be? Okay, but how is ecstatic different from elated, which is next on their list?
Elated is similar, but often tied to a specific achievement, like that feeling of triumph after reaching a goal.
So elated is more about the accomplishment, while ecstatic is pure, unadulterated joy.
The episode gives this example. I felt elated after winning the competition. Definitely a moment to be elated. Now, how about content? It feels very different, doesn't it?
Content is quieter, more peaceful. It's not about excitement. It's about feeling satisfied with your life.
The example they give is he seems content with his life in the countryside, like a sense of inner peace.
It's a beautiful thing. It's like finding joy in the simple things.
And last but not least, for those moments of pure, overflowing happiness, we have overjoyed.
Overjoyed. It's like happy times 1,000.
The example is, the family was overjoyed to reunite after years apart. I can feel the warmth just hearing that sentence.
So we've got ecstatic, elated, content, and overjoyed. That's a pretty impressive happiness toolkit.
It's about expressing the full spectrum of happiness, from quiet satisfaction to pure, unadulterated joy.
And each word adds its own unique flavor. Okay, I'm feeling all warm and fuzzy now. Let's move on to a word I know I overuse. I'm guilty as charged.
Ooh, which one? Spill the beans.
Important?
Important. I think we're all guilty of that one. It's such a general term.
Right. But luckily, this podcast episode gives us some great alternatives that add more, I don't know, emphasis.
Nuance.
Both. The first word is crucial, and it's defined as extremely important or necessary. No messing around with this one.
Crucial carries a sense of urgency, doesn't it? Like, this is a make or break situation.
The example is, it's crucial to follow safety protocols in this industry, where the stakes are high.
No room for error.
And speaking of high stakes, the next word is vital.
Vital emphasizes something's fundamental importance.
Like for survival or well-being.
Exactly. The example they give is, drinking water is vital for your health. Pretty straightforward.
No argument there.
Yeah.
Okay, how would you say vital is different from crucial? They seem pretty similar.
Well, vital highlights something's essential nature. It's the foundation, the bedrock.
Crucial is about the urgency, and vital is about the absolute necessity.
You got it.
Okay, the next word is pivotal. And I feel like I hear this one a lot in business contexts.
Pivotal is all about those turning points, those moments that shape the future.
The example they give is, this decision will be pivotal for the company's future.
Yeah.
Like a game changer.
Exactly. It sets a new course.
And finally, we have significant.
Significant highlights something that has a noticeable impact or consequence. It's noteworthy, something to pay attention to.
The example they give is, this discovery is a significant breakthrough in medicine. It's important, but maybe not as dramatic as pivotal or as urgent as crucial.
Right. It's about impact and meaning, but maybe on a slightly smaller scale.
Okay, so we've gone from important to crucial, vital, pivotal, and significant. I'm feeling a lot more equipped to express those different shades of importance.
Me too. And I bet our listeners are starting to think about how they can use these words to add more depth to their own communication.
I hope so. Okay, let's wrap up this part of the deep dive with a word that's, well, big. Literally, the word big.
Ugh, big. Such a simple word, but often so inadequate.
Right, like how many times can you say big before it starts to lose its bigness?
The podcast episode comes to the rescue with some fantastic alternatives that really capture those different levels of, well, size.
Let's hear them. The first one is massive.
Massive implies something overwhelmingly large, something that has a serious presence.
The example they use is, the company made a massive investment in renewable energy. Like, it's not just a lot of money, it's a huge amount of money.
Exactly. It's a word that evokes scale and grandeur.
Okay, what about colossal? I feel like that one's reserved for, like, ancient monuments or something.
Colossal definitely has that sense of awe and wonder.
Like, it's so big, it's almost unbelievable.
Exactly. Think of the Colosseum in Rome, a truly colossal structure.
Okay, so we've got massive and colossal. Now, how about immense?
Immense can refer to physical size, but also intensity of feeling. It suggests something boundless, almost immeasurable.
The example they give is, she felt immense relief after hearing the good news. So it's like huge, but with an emotional component.
Exactly. It's like you're being swept away by the vastness of it all.
Wow, that's a good one. And finally, they have enormous.
Enormous emphasizes the sheer scale or magnitude of something.
The example is, the project required an enormous amount of effort. So it's about quantity as well as size.
Absolutely. It's like, this is big in every sense of the word.
Okay, so we've got massive, colossal, immense, and enormous. 4 fantastic alternatives, too big, each with its own unique flavor. I feel like my vocabulary just expanded exponentially.
Mine too. It's like we've been given a whole new set of tools for describing the world around us. But the question is, how do we actually go from admiring these words to actually using them in our everyday lives?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because, what's the point of having all these amazing words if we're just going to keep them locked away in our mental dictionaries?
Exactly. So in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some practical tips on how to put these words into practice and make them a part of our active vocabulary. Stay tuned.
All right, so we've got all these fancy new words, but, it's one thing to know the definitions. It's another thing entirely to actually, use them.
You're telling me it's like having all the ingredients for a gourmet meal, but no cooking skills.
Exactly. So how do we go from word hoarders to, eloquent speakers?
Well, the podcast episode we're deep diving into has some pretty good tips, and I gotta say they're pretty practical.
Oh, good. I'm all about actionable advice. Hit me with it.
First up, a classic technique. Use the words in sentences.
Makes sense. Actually write them down.
Yeah. They recommend writing at least 3 sentences for each new word. Really get a feel for how it works in different contexts.
I can see that. It's like taking those words for a test drive,
Yeah.
Seeing how they handle on the road.
And don't just stick to, textbook sentences. Get creative. Try using immense in a casual conversation.
Ooh, I like that.
See how crucial sounds in a persuasive email. It's all about getting comfortable with those words.
So we're writing sentences. What else?
Next, and maybe this sounds a little silly,
Oh, I'm all about silly.
record yourself saying the words out loud.
Wait, really?
Trust me on this one. It helps you confront any pronunciation hurdles, and it gets you comfortable actually saying the words, not just reading them in your head.
Oh, I see what you mean. Because sometimes, I think I know how to say a word.
Right.
But then when I try to say it out loud, it all goes wrong.
Happens to the best of us. But the more you practice, the smoother it becomes. And there's just something about hearing yourself say it with confidence.
Like you own it.
Exactly. That word is now part of your vocabulary arsenal.
So we've written sentences, we've practiced our pronunciation. Now what? Time to unleash these words on the world.
That's right. The podcast encourages listeners to actively start replacing those basic overused words with these new gems we've been discussing.
Okay, so instead of saying that movie was good, I could say that movie was outstanding.
Exactly. Or instead of that traffic was bad, that traffic was atrocious.
Okay, I'm seeing the difference. It's like swapping out instant coffee for a gourmet espresso. Same caffeine kick, but a whole new level of sophistication.
But, and this is important, there's a fine line between sounding sophisticated and sounding, well, pretentious.
Oh yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm, trying too hard.
Nobody wants that. It's all about authenticity, finding the right word for the right situation.
So don't force it.
If it feels unnatural, it probably is.
Got it. Stay true to yourself, even with your fancy new vocabulary. What's the last tip?
This one's all about context, contextual learning.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
The podcast suggests looking for these words in the wild. Articles, books, podcasts. Pay attention to how they're being used by, the pros.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like learning by osmosis. Just absorb it all.
Exactly. And the more you see it, the more comfortable you'll become using it yourself.
So it's about becoming a student of language, always observing, always absorbing. And then those new words will just naturally become part of your own vocabulary.
That's the goal. It's not just about memorizing definitions. It's about developing a deeper appreciation for the art of language.
Yeah, it's like, language is more than just words. It's a tool for expression, for connection, for, making sense of the world.
Beautifully said. And the more tools we have in our language toolbox, the more effectively we can express ourselves, connect with others, and, make our mark on the world.
Okay, so we've got a solid plan for putting those new words into action. But before we jump into the final part of our deep dive, I want to zoom out for a second.
Zoom out? What do you mean?
Look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
We've been talking about individual words, but this is about more than just, memorizing synonyms.
I see what you mean. It's about developing a deeper awareness of language itself.
Exactly. We're not just learning new words. We're recalibrating our brains to see the nuances, the subtleties.
It's like we're suddenly aware of all these colors we never even knew existed.
And that brings us to a really important question, and maybe this is something our listeners can ponder. How can understanding these subtle differences between words make us better communicators?
Ooh, good one. Because it's not just about sounding smarter, it's about actually connecting with people, making an impact.
Right. So before we move on, think about that. How can a single word change the way you express yourself, the way people perceive you, the way your message is received?
It's a lot of power packed into those little things we call words. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore how to wield that power effectively.
Welcome back to our vocabulary adventure. It's amazing how just a few word swaps can really make a difference.
I know, right? It's like giving our language a makeover.
Totally.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say is the biggest takeaway?
That's a good question. For me, it's realizing that language is, it's a tool.
A tool.
Yeah, a powerful instrument. We can use it to shape our thoughts, influence others, really make an impact.
I like that. It's not just about sounding smart. It's about using language strategically.
Exactly. And just like any tool, the more skilled we become, the better the results.
So it's a skill we can develop, practice and get better at.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is, it's a journey that never really ends.
There are always new words to discover, new ways to express ourselves.
Exactly. Like a lifelong pursuit.
Which makes me think back to that question we posed earlier.
About how understanding those subtle differences between words can empower us to communicate better.
Yeah, that one. It's more than just sounding impressive. It's about connection, clarity, making our message hit the mark.
It's about moving beyond just conveying information. It's about crafting a message that resonates, that inspires, that maybe even, changes someone's perspective.
That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So how do we actually do that?
Well, it starts with being mindful, I think. Paying attention to the words we choose, considering their impact.
And not being afraid to experiment. Trying out those new words, seeing how they feel.
Exactly. Push those boundaries, step out of that comfort zone.
Embrace the power of language.
Beautifully said. And who knows? Maybe we'll inspire some future wordsmiths out there.
That would be awesome. So, to all our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep playing with language. Who knows what amazing things you might create.
And until next time, happy wordsmithing, everyone. Ever feel like your English textbooks kind of left out a whole chunk of the language?
Uh-huh.
Like you can nail the past perfect continuous, but then just trying to have a casual chat feels like I don't know, deciphering a secret code.
Yeah, that's a really common feeling. It really highlights the gap between academic learning and real-life use.
Totally.
Our source today, 500 plus simple English sentences you can use in daily life. We kind of prints this out, right? The formal stuff isn't always what you hear day to day.
Right. Native speakers use shortcuts. They drop words.
Exactly. That's like knowing all the engine parts versus actually, driving smoothly in traffic.
Yep.
Two different things.
Yeah, good analogy. And that's where we come in today, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to dive into this really great list and pull out those simple, essential sentences, the ones that make you sound less like a textbook and more like you actually speak the language.
Yeah, the goal is really practical. To give listeners phrases they can use, like, straight away.
For all sorts of daily stuff. So you understand more and people understand you more easily. Boost that confidence.
And it's funny how these simple sentences get overlooked, isn't it?
It really is.
You kind of just expect it to absorb them somehow.
Yeah.
But breaking them down, looking at how native speakers actually build these quick communications, that's really useful.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. Greetings, introductions, the absolute basics.
Can't get more fundamental than that.
The source gives us the obvious ones, of course. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Depending on the time.
Yep, the time of day standards. But then it moves into actually, talking to someone.
Right, those first few words that set the tone.
So you've got the standard, hello, how are you? Almost automatic, that one.
Yeah, and meeting someone new.
Hi, nice to meet you. Very direct, very friendly, common.
And then the info gathering starts.
Uh-huh. What's your name? And the simple answer, my name is John. Or whatever your name is, obviously.
And it goes a bit deeper, right? How old are you? Yeah, with a response like, I'm 20 years old.
And finding out origins. Where are you from?
I'm from India. Or wherever. These are super common when you first meet someone.
They really are. It helps you kind of place the person, get a little context.
Exactly. In any language you do this, right? Establish the basics. And the English versions here are very, very direct.
So what else for introductions? What about what people do?
Yeah. What do you do? Leading to, I'm a student or I'm a teacher, whatever it is.
And maybe some slightly more personal stuff.
Sure. Things like, are you married?
With answers like, no, I am single.
Or asking about family. Do you have any children?
Yes, I have 2 kids. Simple questions, but they cover quite a bit of ground.
They really do. Builds a quick picture. It's interesting how direct these questions can be early on in English conversations compared to maybe some other cultures.
Yeah, good point. And then wrapping up that initial chat.
You might ask, how was your day?
And get a nice polite reply, my day was great, thank you.
And the classic casual goodbye for now. See you later.
So those act like little conversational bookends, don't they?
Exactly. Nailing those beginnings and endings really helps with confidence. Shows you can handle those first steps.
Okay, so greetings handled. What about just talking about your day, your routine? The source has some great stuff on that.
Yeah, moving beyond just hello into describing your life a bit. Very useful.
So it starts with waking up.
We wake up at 7 a.m. Then through the morning routine, brush my teeth.
I take a shower.
I get dressed.
I have breakfast. Simple, everyday actions.
Universal stuff, really. Described very simply.
And then the day progresses, right? Like going to work.
Yep. I go to work, and how you get there, I take the bus.
Or I drive to the office.
Then the work part. I start work at 9 a.m.
I have a meeting at 10 a.m.
Taking breaks. I take a lunch break.
I eat lunch at 1 p.m.
And finishing up. I finish work at 5 p.m. It's a very clear timeline.
And what's great is you can just slot your own details in, can't you?
Totally. It's a template. If you bike, you say, I cycle to work.
Yeah.
The structure's the same. Very adaptable.
And life's not just work, right? The list keeps going.
Of course.
Yeah.
After work, I go to the gym.
I exercise for an hour.
I go home.
Evening routine. I cook dinner.
I watch TV.
Or I read a book.
And finally, I go to bed at 10 p.m. Paints a whole picture.
And knowing these helps you talk about yourself, but also understand others when they talk about their day.
Absolutely. Big boost for comprehension and sharing.
Okay, let's switch gears. Shopping. Super practical area.
Oh, yeah. Essential.
The source starts with just finding a place. Where is the nearest grocery store? You might ask that on day 1, somewhere new.
Definitely. And once you're inside.
Basic needs. I need to buy some milk.
And the big one? Cost. How much does this cost?
Notice how direct that is.
Yeah, you could say, could you tell me the price? But how much does this cost is just faster, more common in that situation.
And paying.
Do you accept credit cards?
And Can I have a receipt, please? You'll use those constantly.
Yeah.
What if you're looking for something specific?
I am looking for a gift. That tells the shop assistant what you need help with.
Or clothes shopping. What size do you wear?
Followed by, can I try this on? Very common request.
And everyone loves a bargain. Right.
Is there a discount on this item? Always worth asking.
What about other common shopping needs?
Things like, I need some vegetables. Or asking for help. Can you help me find this product?
Clear, simple, gets the job done.
And checking the total. How much is this in total?
Or seeing if there are deals. Do you have any offers today?
Navigating the store too. Where's the fitting room?
Getting a cart. I need a shopping cart.
For specific needs, do you sell organic products?
Or convenience, can I get this delivered?
And just basic info. What time do you close? Very handy question.
These phrases really empower you, don't they? Make you feel more in control.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's handling returns. I would like to return this item. Polite, but clear.
Or checking sale prices. Is this item on sale? Knowing these just makes the whole process smoother.
Much smoother.
Okay, shopping done. Feeling hungry now. Dining out.
Let's eat. First step, getting a seat.
I would like a table for two, please. Adjust the number as needed, obviously.
Standard opening line. Then you need to know your options. Can I see the menu, please?
And ask me about chef's choices. What are today's specials?
Then decision time. I would like to order, followed by your specific choice.
Like, I will have the chicken, please.
Simple drinks too. Can I get a glass of water?
Or maybe, I would like a coffee, please.
And when you're all done, can we get the check, please? Essential phrase, that one.
Absolutely. What about dietary needs? The source covers that, right?
Oh yeah, very important. Is there a vegetarian option?
Or do you have any vegan options?
Asking about spiciness. Is this dish spicy?
And maybe requesting less heat. Can you make it less spicy?
And critically, for safety, I have a food allergy. Vital to know how to say that clearly.
So important. What if you don't want to eat in?
I would like a takeout, please. Or to go is also common.
Good to know. And checking for extra costs.
Is there a service charge? Sometimes it's added automatically.
And payment methods again. Can I pay by card?
Little things you might need. Can I have some extra napkins?
And finally, showing appreciation. The food was delicious, thank you.
Nice touch. Yeah, these phrases cover the whole restaurant experience, pretty much. Makes it much less stressful.
Okay, next scenario. You're lost. Or just need to find something in a new place. Asking for directions.
Ah, yes. Incredibly practical. Starts politely, of course.
Excuse me. Always a good start.
Then the question, where is the restroom? A universal need.
Definitely. Or bigger destinations. How do I get to the train station?
If you've got a visual aid, can you show me on the map?
Trying to figure out the journey. Is it far from here?
And how long will it take to get there? Helps you plan.
If you're using public transport.
Which bus should I take? Crucial question.
Finding essential services. Where is the nearest ATM?
Or finding your bed for the night. Can you give me directions to the hotel?
Or maybe you need medicine. Is there a pharmacy nearby?
Getting to major hubs. What is the best way to get to the airport?
Thinking about walking.
Can I walk there? Or maybe, is it within walking distance?
Getting to the shops. How far is the mall from here?
Need a ride. Where can I find a taxi?
If you have a specific place in mind.
Can you help me find this address? Or using landmarks. What is the nearest landmark?
Underground travel? Is there a subway station nearby?
Navigating the city center. How do I get to the city center? And basic orientation. Which way is north?
And for drivers, is there a parking lot around here?
Yeah, these questions really give you the tools to find your way around almost anywhere. Reduces that lost feeling.
Big confidence booster. Okay, let's shift to the 9 to 5, being at work.
Right, professional settings. These some specific phrases here.
Scheduling basics first.
I have a meeting at 9 a.m. Or setting one up. Let's schedule a meeting.
Asking for things you need. Can you send me the report?
Stating your tasks. I need to finish this project.
Need a hand. Can you help me with this task?
Or if you're missing info, I need more information.
Deadlines are always important.
What is the deadline?
Good one to know.
Managing discussions. Can we discuss this later?
Getting feedback. Please review this document.
Standard communication now. I will send you an email.
Yep. And basic office logistics. Can you print this form more?
Or you need to make some copies.
Taking a moment. Let's take a break.
Dealing with tech problems, Sai.
Yeah. The internet is down. We've all been there.
talking to people outside the company. I need to call a client.
Internal calls. Can you join the conference call?
Informing your team about absence. I will be out of the office tomorrow.
Or calling everyone together. Let's have a team meeting.
Asking for backup. Can you cover for me?
And managing shared work. Please update the file. This covers a lot of ground for basic workplace chat and tasks. Really helps you function smoothly in that environment. Okay, let's dream a little. Travel. Planning a trip.
Ah, the fun stuff. Yes, the source has plenty for travelers.
Starts with booking, right? I need a ticket to New York.
And checking schedules. What time is the next train? Or what time does the bus leave?
Finding out costs. How much is a one-way ticket?
Then, navigating the airport or station. Where is the boarding gate?
And after arrival, where is the baggage claim area?
Asking for preferences. Can I have a window seat?
Knowing the journey time. How long is the flight?
Getting around once you're there. Where can I rent a car?
Finding your way. I need a map of the city.
Checking hotel perks. Is breakfast included?
Getting local transport sorted. Can you book a taxi for me?
These really tackle the practical side of travel, don't they?
Definitely. And figuring out distances. How far is the hotel from the airport?
Keeping track of time zones. What is the local time?
Getting recommendations. Can you recommend a good restaurant?
Staying connected. Is there free Wi-Fi here?
Handling money. Where can I exchange money?
Hotel procedures. What is the check-in time?
And maybe asking for flexibility. Can I get a late checkout?
Seeing the sights. Do you have a city tour?
Knowing these just takes so much stress out of travel, lets you focus on enjoying it.
For sure.
Okay, now for something less fun, but really important. Emergencies.
Yes, absolutely vital phrases to know, even if you hope you never need them.
The most basic plea, I need help.
Couldn't be clearer. Then specific urgent needs. Call the police.
Or I need a doctor.
Finding help nearby. Is there a hospital nearby?
If you're disoriented, I'm lost. Or can you help me find my way?
Losing important items. I lost my wallet. Or my phone is not working.
Signaling a critical situation, I have an emergency. Or clarifying location, is this the emergency room?
Locating medical supplies or help. Where is the nearest pharmacy? I need medical assistance.
Reporting incidents. There has been an accident. Or needing urgent transport, can you call an ambulance?
These are high-stress situations, so knowing the exact words is crucial.
What about personal health emergencies?
I am feeling unwell. Or, meeting specific care, I need to see a dentist.
Safety equipment. Is there a fire extinguisher? Good to know where they are.
Contacting loved ones. I need to contact my family.
Offering immediate help. Can you help me with first aid?
And reporting illegal activity. I need to report a crime.
It's a tough section, but knowing these could make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Safety first.
Right. Let's lighten the mood. Making plans with friends? Social stuff.
Much better. Yes, lots of simple ways to arrange things.
Suggesting classic outings? Let's go to the movies.
Or a meal. How about dinner tonight? Simple invitation.
More casual hangouts. Do you want to hang out?
Picking a spot. Let's meet at the park.
Shared activities. Can we go shopping?
Checking availability. Do you have any plans for the weekend? Outdoor fun? Let's have a picnic. Or let's go for a walk.
Or let's go to the beach. Maybe something more active. Do you want to go hiking?
Home-based stuff too. Can you come over tomorrow?
Or let's have a barbecue.
Relaxing indoors. Can we watch a movie?
These are all super common ways people suggest getting together.
And checking general availability. Are you free this evening?
Suggesting games. Do you want to play a game?
Open invitations. Do you want to join us?
Planning ahead. Let's plan a trip.
Cultural outings. Let's go to the museum, or can we visit the zoo?
Casual catch-ups. Let's go out for coffee. These phrases are the building blocks for a social life, aren't they? Makes it easier to connect.
Definitely. Being able to suggest things and invite people is key to feeling part of things.
And connection often involves sharing how you feel, expressing feelings.
Yeah, another important section. Using simple words for emotions.
Starting with the good stuff. I am happy.
Or I feel great. I feel amazing. Good ways to share positivity.
But we have down days too, right?
Sure, I am sad. Or I am worried. I am lonely.
Feelings of anticipation or unease.
I am excited. Or I'm nervous.
Low energy or irritation.
I am tired. I am angry. I am frustrated.
What about fear or lack of interest?
I am scared. I am bored.
And those basic physical feelings.
I am hungry. I am thirsty. I feel sick. All influence mood, don't they?
They do. And other feelings? Surprise, confusion.
I am surprised. I am confused. And looking ahead, I am hopeful.
And the nice feeling of calm.
I am relaxed. Being able to name these feelings helps you communicate your state clearly, builds empathy.
Okay, we've mentioned asking questions a lot, but the source revisits the basic structures.
Yeah, a good recap of fundamental questions. Starts with identity,
What is your name? How old are you? The absolute basics.
then location and occupation. Where do you live? What do you do?
The standard greeting check-in. How are you?
Asking preferences. Do you like this?
Offering help. Can you help me?
Practical info. What time is it? Where is the bathroom?
Cost and ownership again. How much does this cost? Is this yours?
Social inclusion. Can I join you?
Personal tastes. What is your favorite color?
Language check. Do you speak English? And when you need clarification, can you repeat that?
Or how do you spell that? What did you say? Crucial for understanding.
Definitely. A common follow-up. How was your day?
Needing a demo. Can you show me?
And simply asking about movement. Where are you going?
Asking questions really is key, isn't it? Shows interest, gets info, keeps things moving.
Absolutely. It's active participation.
Now flipping that around, giving directions, not just asking.
Right. Simple, clear instructions.
The basics, turn left, turn right, go straight.
Can't get simpler than that. Being more specific, take the first left, take the second right.
Using landmarks, go past the park.
Indicating position, it's on your left, it's on your right.
Or relative position, it's next to the bank. It's opposite the mall.
Crossing roads, cross the street.
Distance indication, go to the end of the road.
Precise location, it's on the corner.
Using signs, follow the signs.
Near public transport, it's near the bus stop.
Inside buildings, go up the stairs, go down the elevator.
Locations that aren't immediately visible, it's behind the paving, it's in front of the store.
And the classic reassurance, you can't miss it.
Yeah, famous last words sometimes.
Yeah.
But these simple directions are generally very effective.
Okay, what about sharing your thoughts, expressing opinions?
Yeah, being able to say what you think starts positive.
I think this is great. This is amazing. I love this idea.
More practical positives. This is very useful. I feel good about this.
Excitement. This is exciting.
Showing agreement. I believe you are right.
A more neutral stance. In my opinion, it's okay.
And the flip side, disagreement or dislike.
I don't like this. I disagree with you.
Or lack of interest. This is boring. I think this is a bad idea. I am not a fan of this.
It's good to know how to phrase disagreement politely, though.
Yes. And suggesting things or showing uncertainty, I think we should try. I am not sure about this. I think we could do better.
General reactions. This is interesting. I feel this is important. I find this helpful. This is confusing.
Being able to articulate opinions, even simple ones, is crucial for real conversation.
And asking for things. Making requests politely.
Very important social skill. Starts generally. Can you help me?
So versatile. Specific polite requests. Could you please pass the salt?
Or, may I borrow your pen? Can I have a glass of water?
Asking someone to do something. Please open the window. Or can you turn on the light?
Could you close the door? Please lend me your book. Can you show me the way?
More formal ways to ask. May I ask a question?
Needing clarification again. Could you speak more slowly? Please write it down. Can you repeat that?
Asking permission. May I use your phone?
Requesting help with a task. Could you help me with this?
Asking for info. Please tell me the time.
Requesting transport. Can you give me a ride?
Asking to sit. May I sit here?
Needing explanation. Could you explain this to me?
And asking someone to stop. Please turn off the TV. Politeness really is key here, isn't it? Makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Shows respect. Makes people more willing to help.
Okay, what about when we mess up? Apologizing.
Ah, yes, owning up. Start simply. I am sorry.
The universal apology. For bigger things.
Please forgive me. I apologize for that. I am very sorry. Emphasizes regret.
Taking responsibility. I didn't mean to. It was my fault. I regret that.
The more formal version. My apologies.
Apologizing for specific issues. I am sorry for the inconvenience. Please accept my apology.
Being late. I am sorry I am late. Making errors. I am sorry for the mistake, causing confusion. I am sorry for the confusion. I apologize for any trouble. I am sorry for the misunderstanding.
What about hurting someone's feelings?
I didn't mean to hurt you. Or causing offense. I didn't mean to offend you.
Acknowledging bad behavior. I'm sorry for being rude. Please excuse my behavior.
And for delays. I am sorry for the delay.
Knowing how to apologize properly is so important for relationships.
Crucial social skill. These give you options for different situations.
Sometimes people ask us for help or opinions. Giving advice.
Right. Offering suggestions can be direct. You should try this.
Or you should take a break. I think you should go. You need to relax.
Health-related. You should exercise more. You ought to eat healthier. You should get some rest.
Task-related. You need to work on that. Contacting someone. You should call them. Planning. You should plan ahead.
These are quite direct. Slightly softer options.
I recommend this book. You ought to see a doctor. It's a good idea to save money.
Giving advice more cautiously. Try to stay calm. It's better to be safe.
Or, based on your judgment, I advise you to study hard. It's good to be prepared. Try to be on time. You ought to listen to her. It's best to be honest.
Offering advice helpfully is a skill. These phrases give different levels of forcefulness.
And after someone helps us, expressing gratitude, saying thanks.
Yes, so important. The basics. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Everyday thank yous for bigger things.
I really appreciate it. I am grateful for your help. Thank you for everything. Stronger gratitude. I can't thank you enough. I am thankful for your support.
Being specific about the reason. Thanks for the gift. Thank you for your time. Thanks for the advice. Thanks for your understanding. Thanks for the invitation.
Thanking them for their qualities or actions. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you for being there. I am very grateful. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for your generosity. I am thankful for your assistance. Thank you for the information. I appreciate your help.
So many ways to say thanks. It really matters in conversation.
It really does. Builds goodwill, strengthens connections.
And spreading positivity by giving compliments.
Also a great way to connect. Starting with appearance. You look great.
Or you have a beautiful smile. I like your style. Nice things to hear.
Complimenting achievements or skills. This is amazing. You did a good job. You are very talented. That's a great idea. I love your work. That was impressive. You did well. I admire your dedication.
Complimenting character. You are so kind. You are very smart. You are a great friend. You have a nice voice. You are so creative. You are very patient. He is a great listener. She is very friendly.
These cover looks, skills, personality, sincere compliments can really brighten someone's day.
Definitely. Okay, what about just chatting? Filling the silence, small talk.
Ah, the art of small talk.
Yeah.
Essential for social situations. The classic opener.
The weather. How is the weather today? Always works.
Safe ground. Talking about recent shared experiences.
Oh.
Did you watch the game last night? What did you do over the weekend? How was your holiday?
Finding common interests, hobbies, entertainment. Have you seen any good movies lately? Do you have any hobbies? What kind of music do you like? Do you like reading books? Have you tried the new restaurant? How do you spend your free time? What's your favorite TV show? Have you been to concerts? What sports do you play?
Lots of avenues there. Asking about personal connections. How was your family?
General opinions or observations. What do you think about this place?
Travel is often a good topic. Do you enjoy traveling? Have you visited any new places?
And work chat, if appropriate. How is your job going? Have you read any good books? Could be work-related.
Small talk is the grease in the social wheels, isn't it? Builds rapport.
Absolutely. Leads to bigger conversations sometimes. What about describing people?
Yeah, giving someone an idea what someone's like. Start positive. She is very kind.
Physical descriptions. He's tall and slim. She has long hair. He wears glasses.
More on personality. She is very friendly. He is a great listener. She's very smart. Reliability, he is always on time. Sense of humor, she has a good sense of humor. Work ethic, he's very hardworking. Creativity, she is very creative. Patience, he is very patient. Organization, she is very organized. Generosity, he is very generous. Sociability, she is very outgoing. Responsibility, he is very responsible. Talent, she's very talented. Dependability, he's very reliable.
Wow, that's a useful list of basic descriptors for character and appearance.
Let's paint a picture for sure.
And describing things, objects, places.
Yep, describing the world around you. Space, the room is spacious.
Food, books, cars, movies. The food is delicious. The book is interesting. The car is fast. The movie is exciting. Music, hotels. The music is relaxing. The hotel is comfortable.
Places positive attributes. The house is beautiful. The park is peaceful. The beach is clean. The garden is lovely. The restaurant is cozy.
Describing atmosphere or condition. The city is busy. The lake is calm. The shop is crowded.
Physical attributes. The building is tall. The road is narrow. Views. The view is stunning. Events. The event is well organized.
And back to the weather for describing the environment.
Right, it fits here too. The weather is nice. It's sunny today. It's raining outside. It's very windy. It's quite cloudy. It's snowing. Temperature, it's hot today. It's very cold. It's a bit chilly. It's warm today. It's freezing. Conditions, it's humid, it's foggy, it's drizzling. General feel, it's a beautiful day. Mild weather. Sky conditions, it's overcast, it's breezy, it's clear skies.
These basic adjectives and structures are super useful for everyday descriptions.
Incredibly versatile, yeah. Communicate a lot with simple words.
What about being proactive, friendly, making offers or invitations?
Good one. Offering refreshments is common. Would you like some coffee?
Or, can I get you something? Can I offer you a drink? Standard hospitality.
Offering help. Can I help you with that? Do you need any help? Can I assist you with anything? Can I lend you a hand? Can I bring you anything? Different ways to offer support.
Extending social invitations. Do you want to join us? Would you like to come along? Trying something together? Would you like to try this? Party invite. Would you like to come to my party? Meal invite. Can I take you to dinner? Activity invites. Do you want to go for a walk? Would you like to see a movie? Would you like to come over? Do you want to hang out? Would you like to join me for lunch? Do you want to go shopping? Would you like to go to the beach? It makes it easy to be sociable and inclusive.
Definitely. Key phrases for building connections.
And expressing what we like or don't like. Preferences.
Yeah, important for others to know you. Comparisons. I prefer tea over coffee.
Stating likes and enjoyments. I like reading books. I enjoy playing soccer. I love traveling. I like spicy food. I enjoy watching movies. I love listening to music. I like the color blue. I enjoy cooking. I love hiking. I like going to the beach. I enjoy painting. I love gardening. I like swimming. I enjoy baking. I love photography. Lots of hobbies there.
Yeah, covers a wide range. State and preferred activities or situations. I prefer staying at home. I prefer walking to driving. I prefer warm weather. Animal preferences. I prefer cats to dogs.
Helps people understand you. Makes planning easier if you're doing things together.
Exactly.
Okay, one last category, and it's a really important one. Talking about health.
Yes, being able to communicate how you're feeling physically. Starting with feeling good. I feel great today.
Or improving. I am feeling better. I feel much better now.
And the opposite. I am not feeling well. General fatigue. I feel tired. Weakness. I'm feeling weak. Nausea. I'm feeling sick.
Specific symptoms. I have a headache, catching something. I caught a cold. Throat issues. I have a sore throat. Balance problems. I am feeling dizzy. Temperature. I have a fever. Digestive issues. I have a stomachache. Respiratory. I have a cough. Allergies. I have allergies.
Actions needed. I need to see a doctor. Basic needs. I need some rest. Treatment. I am taking medicine. Action. I need to lie down. Urgent care. I need to go to the hospital.
Being able to say these things is vital for getting help and letting people know what's going on.
Absolutely essential for self-care and communication.
Wow, okay. So we've gone through a huge range of situations there, from just saying hello to dealing with emergencies, shopping, eating, working, all using these simple sentences. What's the main thing people should take away?
I think the biggest thing is that you really can communicate effectively in tons of everyday situations with relatively simple language. You don't always need complex grammar or fancy words. Mastering these basics gives you a huge confidence boost.
Right. It lowers that barrier to just speaking. So what's the best way for listeners to actually use this? How do they practice?
Practice is key. But don't try to learn it all at once. That's overwhelming. Maybe pick one section that feels most relevant right now. Like if you eat out a lot, focus on the dining phrases. Or if you're starting a new job, look at the work ones.
Good idea. Focus on one area.
Yeah, and then consciously try to use those phrases. Even if it's just saying good morning differently or asking, how much is this? Instead of pointing. Small steps.
Makes sense. And maybe a final thought for people to consider.
Well, while these phrases are a fantastic foundation, real fluency comes from, continuous use and exposure. So maybe think about how you can get more everyday English into your life. Is it watching shows without subtitles? Listening to podcasts? Trying to chat with native speakers online or in person?
So keep practicing these basics, but also keep immersing yourself.
Exactly. The more you use it, actively listen and speak, the more natural it all becomes. These sentences are the tools, but you've got to use them to build fluency.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating exploration right into the heart of something we all do every single day, communicate in English. You shared a brilliant resource with us, this collection called 1,000 English Sentences Used in Daily Life from English study here.
Yeah, it's quite a list.
It really is a treasure trove of everyday expressions. And our goal today, our sort of mission for you listening, is to go beyond just the surface level. We want to uncover some of the, surprising nuances, the strategic choices we actually make when we speak.
Absolutely. Because it's not just about knowing the words.
Exactly. We want to help you not just understand these phrases, but maybe use them more effectively with a bit more awareness.
And what's truly remarkable about this compilation, I think, is just the sheer variety.
Yeah.
So many ways to express seemingly simple ideas.
Totally.
And as we delve into these, you'll see how, subtle shifts in wording can really impact how a message lands.
And how we connect with people. Right.
Exactly. It really highlights the dynamic nature of language itself.
Okay, let's dive right in then. How about a phrase we hear constantly? You're welcome.
Ah, yes. The classic.
The source gives us the usual suspects, you are welcome, no problem, standard stuff.
Sure.
But then it just opens up into this whole spectrum of other possibilities. You've got the really casual end, like anytime.
Mm-hmm. Sure thing.
Sure thing, yeah. Then there's no worries, which is, everywhere now.
So common. Maybe even overused sometimes.
Could be. What's interesting to me is just how different these feel.
They really do. No worries. For instance, while it's super common, it can sometimes come across as maybe a little dismissive, depending on the context.
Yeah, like if someone did something huge for you.
Right. It's a good reminder that even these, seemingly harmless phrases can carry different weight. Then you have things like, it was nothing.
Mm-hmm. Which can sound humble.
Or it could kind of downplay the effort you actually put in.
Right, and that's different, again, from my pleasure. That one clearly says you actually enjoyed helping.
Yes. A positive feeling from your side. It suggests, genuine willingness.
Then we get glad to have helped and happy to serve you.
Yeah.
Those feel a touch more formal, maybe.
A little, yeah. Or perhaps more sincere in certain, maybe service-oriented situations.
Even don't mention it is fascinating when you think about it. It sort of shuts down further thanks, doesn't it?
It does. It can be a way of being modest, like you said, or just signaling that the act was so minor, it really doesn't need more discussion.
Now, compare that to you got it. That feels informal, but also really reassuring. Like, I handled that, no problem.
Yeah, implies competence and ease. Then think about of course. That can suggest helping was just expected, obvious.
The variations are so subtle but telling.
They really are.
And the list keeps going, that's all right, that's absolutely fine, certainly. It just hammers home how many ways we have for this one simple response.
It's not just a rote response at all.
It's a choice, isn't it?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the choice reflects, the context, your relationship with the person, but also maybe something about your own personality, how you want to present yourself.
Right. Saying certainly to your best friend might feel a bit weird.
Yeah, a bit stiff, but perfect in a business chat.
Okay, let's shift to another absolute essential, saying no.
The art of refusal.
We start with the direct ones. No, no thanks, simple enough.
The basics.
But this list is incredibly rich with ways to be, more diplomatic about it. We see things like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. You give a reason.
Right. Softens the blow.
Yeah.
Or maybe next time keeps the door open a crack.
Keeps future possibilities alive.
And what's interesting here is how often we use what linguists sometimes call hedging language, to soften the refusal.
Like what?
Well, phrases like, I'd love to, but can't, or I wish I could make it work.
Right. Expressing the desire to say yes.
I'll still sit in that clear boundary. The but is doing a lot of work there. It mitigates.
Yeah. Then you have more direct, but still polite options, like, that doesn't work for me.
But that's not an option. A bit firmer.
And some are quite descriptive, aren't they? I saw one like, my body says yes, but my heart says no. A bit dramatic, maybe.
Yeah, very gentle, perhaps a tad theatrical way to decline.
And then you've got the really firm end, almost humorous, like, this is not negotiable.
Right next to the super blunt, nope. Yeah. The context is just everything, isn't it?
Absolutely. You'd probably use nope with a buddy.
Sure.
Whereas in a professional setting, you'd more likely go for unfortunately not or something similar.
Definitely more appropriate. And notice, too, how often we pair no with some appreciation. I'm honored that you asked me, but I can't do it.
Yeah, that acknowledges the request nicely.
It acknowledges the person while still delivering the negative response. It's skillful.
Okay, let's move to positive feelings. Congratulations.
Yay. Good stuff.
Obviously, we have the simple exclamation, easy. But the source gives us so many ways to be more specific, more impactful. Instead of just congratulations, you get phrases like, that's better than ever, or that's first-class work. They focus on the quality.
Exactly. These add that layer of specific praise, saying that's clever or outstanding, highlights a particular skill or, aspect of their success.
It feels more genuine sometimes.
It can, yeah. Then you have the more generally enthusiastic, encouraging ones like, way to go, or the really punchy, superb.
Love that one. And some are really quite lovely, aren't they? Like, that's a real work of art.
Yeah, that's nice.
Or, now that's what I call a fine job. It goes beyond just acknowledging success. It's like offering genuine admiration.
Totally. Even something straightforward like, you certainly did well today, can feel more personal than just a standard congrats.
It shows you noticed.
Exactly. These more expressive congratulations can make the recipient feel truly seen, truly appreciated. It shows you've paid attention and you're genuinely impressed.
Okay, how about stating our own thoughts, expressing opinions? The list has a great variety here, too. From the slightly tentative, I believe, or I feel.
Yeah, hedging a bit.
To more assertive declarations like, in my opinion, or it is my view. What strikes me is how these little choices signal our certainty level.
Precisely. I assume suggests, well, less firm conviction than, say, I honestly believe that.
Right.
Similarly, to me, frames it as very personal, whereas from my point of view, offers maybe a slightly broader take.
And some directly involve the listener, like, if you asked me.
Yeah, pulling them in. And some just sound more formal, don't they? Like, it is my view.
Or to my way of thinking.
Right. Well, others like, if you ask me, are way more informal and direct.
It really shows how we tailor our language constantly to the situation, to the audience.
Indeed. Choosing the right phrase lets you state your opinion clearly, but also convey the right degree of confidence.
Yeah.
Or maybe even deference, depending on who you're talking to.
Let's move on to greetings. Such a fundamental part of interaction.
The very beginning.
We all know hello and hi, and the list includes the time-specific ones, good morning, etc. Standard.
Yep. But then we get into much more casual land with, hey, howdy, and how are ya? These immediately signal a different kind of relationship, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Greetings are crucial for setting the tone. Long time no see instantly tells you there's a past connection.
Right. And questions like, what have you been up to? Or how have you been? Show, hopefully, genuine interest in the other person.
Yeah. Invites a bit more than a one-word answer.
And some are really informal, almost playful, hey boo was on the list.
Yes. Or the humorous, look what the cat dragged in. Definitely need to know your audience for that one.
For sure. Then you have the super formal end, like greetings and salutations, which you'd probably only use ironically, or maybe in a very specific formal context.
Exactly. It's amazing how many ways we have just to acknowledge someone's presence.
It really is. And even within the casual greetings, there are subtle differences, right? What's up is pretty general. What's going on? Or what have you been up to? Might invite a slightly more detailed update about what they're doing now. That's a good point. They function as greetings, but also as openers for catching up.
Which leads us perfectly into the next section, other ways to say, what's up?
The ultra-casual zone.
Totally. This section is pretty much all informal greetings. What's sizzling? What's shaking?
Yeah, it's even just yo.
Yo. These really highlight that relaxed, often slangy nature of casual chat.
Exactly. These are typically between friends, maybe colleagues you know well, in informal settings. What's up, buttercup?
Yeah.
Adds that playful, almost teasing tone.
Definitely. And you're right. Some, like what's up, are pure slang, maybe tied to certain regions or age groups more than others.
Yeah, very much so.
And it's interesting how many of these are actually questions about current activities. What are you doing? What are you up to? Even though they work as a greeting like, hi, they also invite that little update, don't they?
They do. It's a quick way to connect, see what's happening in their world, even if the expected answer is just, not much.
Okay, let's tackle agreement. Another big one.
Showing you're on the same page.
We start with the basics. I agree, yes. Simple.
Check.
But the list just explodes with ways to show different levels of agreement. From a simple yeah or yep.
Casual.
To a much more emphatic absolutely or definitely. It makes you realize how often we agree in slightly different ways all day long.
Totally. And then you get phrases that show you were thinking the same thing, like, I had that same idea.
Or that's just what I was thinking. Those really build rapport, don't they? Create that sense of shared understanding.
Big time. And some are really strong endorsements. I think you're totally right about that.
You are so right. Then the super enthusiastic ones, like, you can say that again.
Or I could not agree with you more, my friend.
Yeah.
These definitely signal a much higher level of conviction, strong agreement.
What's fascinating, too, is how some use vivid imagery, like you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, great idiom perfectly captures that feeling of someone getting it exactly right.
And the casual agreements, like, you got it, dude, show that more relaxed and formal connection again.
Different vibe entirely.
Moving on to saying, okay. This list covers such a broad spectrum.
It really does.
From the simple okay and yes to more formal affirmations like approved.
Or certify, very official.
You can really see how context just dictates the choice. Okie dokie is clearly playful.
Right. Whereas authorize is, strictly business or official procedure.
And then you have options like satisfactory, acceptable, or adequate. The signal agreement, but maybe not, like wild enthusiasm.
Exactly. It's an affirmation, but maybe a qualified one. It meets the standard.
And some imply action or permission, right? Like go permitted or green light.
Yeah, giving the go-ahead.
It really highlights the versatility of okay. It's way beyond just simple agreement. It can mean understanding, compliance, permission.
Precisely. Such a small word, but it does so much work.
Now let's look at wishing someone well. Good luck.
Sending good vibes.
We have the standard best of luck, and then the theatrical break a leg. It's funny how we use that one, isn't it? Literally wishing someone harm.
Huh? It is. Break a leg is a perfect example of how language gets these quirky, idiomatic expressions. A theater superstition, right?
Right. Then you have the more straightforward, sincere wishes, like best wishes or wishing you lots of luck.
Standard and warm.
And some feel almost like blessings. Godspeed, for instance.
A bit more formal, maybe older.
And the playful pop culture one, may the force be with you.
Can't resist that one sometimes.
And then there are the really encouraging statements like, you'll do great.
Or, you were made for this. Those go beyond just hoping for luck, don't they?
They really do. They express confidence in the person.
Exactly. These encouraging phrases can be super motivating. They focus on the person's ability, not just, random chance.
Okay, sometimes communication breaks down slightly. We need someone to repeat themselves.
Happens all the time.
The list gives several polite ways to ask for that clarification, starting with simple interjections like, sorry.
Excuse me? Pardon? Yeah, the quick, polite attention getters.
Such standard ways to signal, I didn't quite get that.
They are. And then you have the more explicit request. Could you please repeat that?
Or, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Clearly states the need for them to say it again.
Mm-hmm. And phrases like, let me repeat that just to make sure, are interesting too.
How so?
Well, they not only ask for repetition implicitly, but they also show your desire to confirm understanding. It puts the onus slightly on you, which is polite.
Ah, good point. It emphasizes clear communication and politeness, starting with sorry, or excuse me, definitely softens the request too.
Absolutely. It shows consideration, avoids making it sound like it was their fault you didn't hear.
Now for a less comfortable topic, maybe, expressing anger.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yep.
Tread carefully here.
The list ranges from like mild annoyance, what a pain.
It really gets on my nerve.
Right. To much more intense expressions like I have had it up to here with.
Or I'm sick and tired of. You can really feel the escalation in those.
Totally. I don't believe it. Can express surprise, sure, but depending on the tone.
It can definitely convey frustration. Then you move to stronger, more direct stuff like, damn it.
Or the very forceful, get out of my way. No ambiguity there.
None whatsoever. And some are quite personal, like that example. I get so irritated by Tom, I can't be around her. Names the source directly.
And then the definitive, that's the last straw. That signals a breaking point, doesn't it?
Point of no return.
Yeah.
These really show the incredible emotional intensity language can carry.
They do. Even something seemingly simple, like mind your own business, is a really direct, assertive way to express anger and set a boundary.
The list really illustrates that whole spectrum, from mild irritation to outright fury.
Okay, shifting again, exclamations of surprise or shock. Oh my goodness.
The universal gasp.
The list gives a range, from the milder, oh gosh, and goodness gracious me,
A bit quaint, some of those.
to the more emphatic, holy moly, and then even some that are, more informal or potentially offensive, depending on context.
Right, like shitting hell or holy crap. Definitely need to be mindful of your audience with those.
Absolutely. While oh my is generally pretty safe. Something like for the love of God, or the more vulgar ones need caution. Depends entirely on who you're talking to, the setting.
They carry different cultural and emotional weights for sure.
And some just have that old-fashioned vibe, like heavens to Betsy.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
It shows how even our interjections change over time and across different groups.
Exactly. They reflect culture, intensity. What's acceptable in one context might be really jarring in another. Delivering bad news, never fun, is it?
Nope, always cuff.
And the list provides several ways to try and soften that blow. Phrases like, please don't take this badly, but...
Or, it is my unfortunate duty to tell you that. These sort of prepare the listener, right?
Yeah.
Act as verbal cushions.
They do. These introductory phrases signal that something negative is coming. I'm afraid I've got some bad news is a really common one.
Right.
Direct, but still expresses concern. Yeah, it manages expectations. And then you have phrases that express regret or sympathy more explicitly. I regret to inform you that. Or, I feel really bad having to tell you this, but these acknowledge the likely negative impact on the other person.
And some options focus more on the inevitability, like, there is no easy way to say this, but it.
Or just a simple, resigned, unfortunately.
Yeah. The key often seems to be directness, combined with empathy and understanding.
Okay, so if you're receiving bad news, how do you respond? The list gives several empathetic options.
Crucial for showing support.
Things like, how dreadful, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Or, how unfortunate, that's really tough on you. These really validate the other person's feelings, don't they?
Absolutely, and offering practical support can be huge. Phrases like, anytime you need to talk, just call me.
Or, if there's anything I can do, just let me know. Those can be incredibly meaningful in the moment.
And just acknowledging the shock, right? Like, my goodness, what a shock. It's hard to believe. That can also be helpful, showing you get the impact.
Definitely. It's all about offering comfort, solidarity, making them feel less alone in a difficult moment.
Empathetic responses can make a tough situation just a little bit easier to handle for the person going through it.
Oh, sure.
All right, expressing gratitude. So important. And the list gives us a wonderful range beyond just a simple thanks.
Got to show appreciation.
We have thank you very much for more emphasis, or I really appreciate it, which feels maybe more personal, more sincere.
I think so, yeah. And then you get the more enthusiastic ones like, you've made my day.
Or you are great. Even something like cheers. That's a common informal thanks, especially in British English, right?
Oh, yeah. Very common. Interesting how culture plays a role even there.
And some are really heartfelt. I'm in your debt.
Or I can't thank you enough. Those signal a bigger favor usually.
Then the really effusive ones, thanks a million. You're an angel. These convey a deeper level of gratitude.
Big time thanks. And what's interesting too is how some phrases focus on the specific action, like, thank you for helping me.
Or thanks a ton for helping out. And phrases like, words can't describe how thankful I am, really emphasize the depth of that feeling.
Yeah, when thank you just doesn't feel like enough.
We did see another section on different ways to say no again. It seems the source really wanted to emphasize this one.
Well, it's a common communication challenge, isn't it? Saying no effectively and politely.
True. And as we discussed, those slight variations in phrasing are so useful. It's not just about refusing, but how you refuse.
Exactly. No thanks, I have another commitment. Gives a reason, but vaguely. Polite. Whereas, I can't take on any more responsibilities right now is more direct, maybe for work. Each carries a slightly different weight.
Okay, finally, let's explore expressing affection. I love you.
Ah, the big one.
The list offers just a beautiful array of romantic expressions. From the tender, I adore you,
I cherish you.
to the more passionate, you set my heart on fire, or even, I can't live without you, really showcases the depth of human emotion.
It really does. And what's lovely is the variety in intensity and focus. Some phrases emphasize deep respect and appreciation, like, I appreciate you.
I respect you.
Right. While others express that more intense longing, like, you are all I want.
Or, I yearn for you.
And some are just so poetic, aren't they? You are a dream come true.
You bring happiness to rainy days. It really shows the beauty and, well, complexity of romantic love.
Absolutely. And then you have the very direct, committed ones. You are my everything.
You're the love of my life. Each phrase paints a slightly different picture of that feeling, doesn't it?
Exactly. The choice lets you convey the specific nuance, whether it's deep admiration, intense passion, or that profound sense of connection and feeling complete.
We also saw ways to say well done, which kind of echoed the congratulations section.
Lots of overlap.
Phrases like bravo, fantastic, good work,
Huh.
and more enthusiastic options like the stuff of champions.
Or you rock. It's great to see so many ways to offer that positive reinforcement, that encouragement.
Definitely. And similarly, other ways to say I miss you. That goes way beyond the simple statement, too.
Yeah, much more evocative.
Heartfelt expressions like you occupy my thoughts.
I miss your laugh. Or the intense, my life is meaningless without you. These phrases really try to capture the depth of that longing and affection.
The source also included a note about apparently 100 ways to say good job.
100. Wow.
Right. We didn't list them all, obviously, but it just highlights the remarkable number of ways we have in English just to offer positive feedback.
It really speaks to the importance of making people feel valued, appreciated.
It does. It underscores how crucial positive reinforcement is in our daily interactions and the many, many subtle shades of approval we can actually express.
Language is amazing.
Lastly, we had asking for information in English. This covered a range of ways to pose a question.
Getting what you need to know.
From the direct, do you know, and could you tell me?
Straightforward.
To the more indirect, maybe more polite, I don't suppose you know.
Or, I was wondering. These soften the request a bit.
This really shows how we adjust our language to be more or less direct, depending on the situation, our relationship with the person. It's all about politeness but strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Using phrases like, would you mind? Or, do you happen to know? Adds that layer of politeness, which can be really important, especially when you're asking for help or info from a stranger, maybe. Shows consideration.
So, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into the fascinating world of everyday English phrases,
It's been quite the journey through the list.
it has. It's just so clear that even our most common everyday interactions are filled with this incredible wealth of linguistic choices. And by understanding these different ways to express ourselves, hopefully you, listening, can communicate more clearly, maybe more engagingly, and ultimately just more effectively.
Absolutely. And by paying attention to the subtle nuances we talked about,
Yeah.
you can really enrich your own conversations, build stronger connections. It's about being more mindful, I think, of the power our words actually hold.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Which of these alternatives might you start using in your own daily chats? Consider how just a slightly different word choice could maybe shape your interactions. It's often in these subtle bits of language where we find those surprising aha moments.
Totally.
And maybe gain a deeper appreciation for the whole art of communication. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we've got this really fascinating linguistic puzzle you handed us. It's a detailed script just packed with vocabulary variations between American and British English. We're talking like over 150 words.
Yeah, it's quite the list. And it comes with examples, too, which is helpful.
Exactly. So think of this as, I don't know, unlocking a secret code for understanding chats, movies, books from, across the pond.
It's quite amazing, isn't it, how two versions of the same language can drift apart in these small but really significant ways.
Totally. Our mission today is basically to pull out the most interesting bits, the really practical differences, those moments where you just go, aha, so that's what they mean.
And this script, it really does highlight those everyday words, the ones that, depending on where you are, conjure up completely different images.
Right. And we're here to explore those little nuances together. And the scope here is pretty broad. I mean, we're covering stuff you find around the house, food, obviously.
Always a good one.
Oh, yeah. How you get around. So transportation, clothing, school, work life, even things like mail and just other random bits and pieces.
Which really shows how these differences are just like woven into daily life, It's not just formal language, it's the stuff we say without thinking.
And that's why this is so useful for you listening. It's not about memorizing lists. It's more about getting the context, understanding how words are actually used.
Yeah, helping make those distinctions stick so you feel more confident, whether you're, listening to a London podcast or talking to someone from the States.
What's really captivating, I think, is how these simple words we use all the time, can mean totally different things.
Oh, absolutely. It's fertile ground for mix-ups. Often funny ones, thankfully.
Which, brings us to a classic. Like, imagine ordering chips.
Right.
In the U.S., you're thinking crunchy potato things from a bag.
Salty.
But in the U.K., you're probably getting what Americans call French fries.
Totally different snack experience.
And then there's pants. Oh boy. That word has a potentially hilarious transatlantic divide. We'll definitely get to that one.
We have to.
Okay, but let's start a bit closer to home, literally.
Good idea. The words we use for our living spaces.
Okay, so where you live. In the US, you probably say an apartment.
Right.
But across the pond, the usual word is a flat. So an American might say she just moved into a small apartment in New York.
While a Brit would say she just moved into a small flat in London. Pretty direct swap, that one.
Seems like it.
It is. A clear case of two different words evolving for the same thing. Maybe, the denser cities in Britain historically meant flat, like on one level became more common. Just a thought.
Huh, interesting idea. Okay, now, where you hang your clothes. America. Closet. Britain.
A wardrobe.
Right, so he keeps his shoes in the closet, becomes.
He uses shoes in the wardrobe. Again, same function, different word. Wardrobe maybe sounds a bit more like a piece of furniture, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe a bit older sounding. Okay, getting rid of waste. US, take out the trash, put it in a trash can.
UK? Take out the rubbish, put it in a bin.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the source mentions rubbish is very common over there.
Seems more common than trash, right?
Definitely. And bin is just a general word for a container, whereas trash can feels a bit more specific.
Oh, wow. Water from the wall, US faucet, UK.
Tap.
And the example sentence even throws in another difference. Turn off the faucet in the bathroom versus...
Turn off the tap in the loo.
Loo. Good old British informal for toilet or bathroom.
Yeah, the loo inclusion shows how these vocabulary things often bundle up with informal language, too.
Good point. Okay, need light in the dark. Americans grab a flashlight.
Brits grab a torch.
So use the flashlight.
Yep.
Becomes use the torch. Pretty simple.
Yep. Straightforward, that one. No real confusion possible, thankfully.
And finally, for this section, in the kitchen, cooking appliance. US stove.
UK, cooker.
The food is on the stove turns into...
The food is on the cooker. It's interesting because stoves does exist in British English, but it usually means a heater, like a wood-burning stove.
Ah, okay. So the American stove for cooking is the British cookle. That's a good example of the same word having a different main meaning.
Exactly. So just within the home, we've already hit several everyday words with different versions. Imagine trying to discuss your new flat with an American friend who keeps asking about the apartment building.
Yeah, totally. It shows how these little things can, add up.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to something we all love. Food.
Ah, yes. Universal, but full of these linguistic quirks.
Right. Sweet baked treat, US cookie, UK.
That's okay.
I baked some chocolate chip cookies because...
I baked some chocolate chip biscuits. Now, this one's tricky because a U.S. biscuit is usually that savory, fluffy bread thing, right?
Exactly. That's a classic case. Same word, two totally different foods. You could get a real surprise.
A culinary shock, perhaps.
Uh-huh. And speaking of sides, those fried potato sticks, US French fries.
UK?
But what Americans call potato chips, the thin, crispy things from a bag.
Those are crisps in the UK.
So a Brit ordering fish and chips is getting fish and French fries, basically.
Yep. It's a constant source of amusement and sometimes confusion for visitors. Simple words, big difference.
Definitely. Veggies now. Purple one, US eggplant.
UK. Aubergine.
Green squashy one, US zucchini.
UK. Courgette. These feel like they might have different linguistic roots, maybe French influence in the UK terms.
Could be. Often these food words trace back to different trade routes or languages, yeah.
Makes sense?
Okay, sweet tooth again, general term, US candy.
UK. Usually sweets.
And after the main course, US dessert, UK.
Could be pudding or just sweet. The source lists both.
Pudding is interesting. In the US, it's usually that specific creamy stuff.
Right, whereas in the UK, pudding can mean pretty much any dessert course after the main meal. Much broader.
Got it. Okay, going out for a drink, US might head to a bar.
UK. Much more likely to be a pub.
And buying alcohol to take home, US liquor store.
UK. An off license. Which kind of makes sense, right? License to sell alcohol for drinking off the premises.
Yeah, quite descriptive.
And pub, of course, is short for public house. That historical community hub idea.
So yeah, even writing a grocery list would look totally different. An American might want cookies, French fries, eggplant, candy.
While a Brit is looking for biscuits, chips, aubergine, and sweets, it really shows how deep this stuff goes, even in basic routines like shopping.
It does. It's a reminder, isn't it? Language is culture. Okay, should we navigate our way to transportation?
Let's do it. Hit the road, linguistically.
Okay, big vehicle for goods, US truck.
UK, lorry.
Fairly simple swap again?
Seems so.
Where you put bags in a car. Back part, U.S. trunk.
UK, boot. It's funny how many basic car parts have different names.
It is.
Maybe boot suggests that sort of enclosed compartment at the back.
Could be. Front part, over the engine. U.S., lift the hood.
UK, lift the bonnet. The source even gives us the sentences. He popped the hood to check the engine.
Versus, he popped the bonnet to check the engine. Same action, different noun.
Bonnet sounds a bit like a covering, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Different feel to hood.
Yeah. And the fuel for the engine. America. Gasoline or just gas.
Britain.
Petrol.
And you fill up at a gas station in the U.S.?
And a petrol station in the UK. Petrol probably stuck from, the early petroleum fuels.
Makes sense. Long distance driving. U.S. freeway?
UK. Motorway.
Train tracks. U.S. railroad?
UK. Motorway feels very direct, for motors. Railway for rails.
Logical. Underground city travel. U.S. subway.
UK. Underground. Often called the tube in London, of course.
Right, the tube.
Underground is pretty literal. Subway maybe focuses more on the way under the ground. And tube comes from the tunnel shape.
Getting a ride above ground. U.S. hail a cab.
Hail a taxi.
Walking path next to the road. U.S. sidewalk. Again, pretty direct. Sidewalk path at the side. Pavement, paved surface.
Seems reasonable.
Last one for cars. Front glass. U.S. windshield. UK. Windscreen.
So yeah, describing part trouble could get interesting depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Imagine asking a British mechanic about your cracked windshield.
He might give you a slightly puzzled look, expecting windscreen. Yeah. These little things, they matter. Okay, should we talk about clothes? What we wear?
Let's do fashion or attire. Okay, warm knitted thing you pull on. U.S. sweater.
UK jumper. The source gives us. He wore a sweater to the office.
Versus he wore a jumper to the office. Jumper, maybe like you jump into it.
Could be. Now this next one is a really common one. Big potential for confusion. What you wear on your legs.
Uh-oh.
In the U.S., pants usually means trousers, right?
Right.
But in the UK, pants is the common word for underwear.
Oh, yes. This is the classic. What Americans call pants, Brits call trousers.
So an American visiting the UK saying, I like your pants, could be awkward.
Hugely awkward.
And building on that, what Americans just call underwear, Brits might call pants, or specifically for women, knickers.
Right. Knickers for women's underwear. Need to know these to avoid embarrassment.
Definitely. Context helps, but knowing the common usage is key.
Okay. Sleeveless thing over a shirt, like with a suit. U.S. vest.
UK, that's a waistcoat. Now, what Brits call a vest is usually what Americans call an undershirt, or maybe a tank top.
So the same word again, meaning different items.
Yep, other diversions.
Shoes for sports.
Yeah.
U.S. sneakers.
UK, trainers. Trainers make sense, for training.
It does, yeah. Holding up your trousers or pants.
U.S. suspenders.
UK braces. Braces sounds like they brace something up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Keeping dry.
Yep.
U.S. raincoat.
UK. Could be a Macintosh, often shortened to Mac, named after Charles Macintosh, who invented the waterproof fabric.
Ah, interesting origin. Okay, here's another tricky one. Short trousers for warm weather. U.S. shorts.
In the UK, shorts usually means the same thing.
Yeah.
But the source notes that sometimes shorts can refer to underpants in BRE, though maybe that's a bit older usage now. Still, worth knowing. Definitely worth knowing. Could cause a raised eyebrow. Okay, women's legwear. U.S. pantyhose.
UK tights.
Right.
Yeah.
So, wow, getting dressed involves a whole different vocabulary.
It really can. Packing needs linguistic prep, too. Shall we shift to school and work?
Yep. Let's look at education and the workplace.
Where, maybe surprisingly, there are also quite a few differences.
Right. Head of a school.
Yeah.
U.S. usually principal.
UK, traditionally headmaster or headmistress, though head teacher is very common now, too.
Person who cleans the school. U.S. janitor.
UK, caretaker. Different titles, maybe reflecting slightly different roles or system structures.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Your list of classes. U.S. schedule.
UK time
Like
again.
academic year divisions. U.S. often semesters.
UK usually terms. The British ones often feel a bit more time-focused, don't they? Timetable, term.
That's a good point, yeah. Teachers collectively.
Yeah.
U.S. the faculty.
UK, the staff. Staff feels maybe broader, including non-teaching people, too.
Yeah, often does. Okay, finally for this bit. Thing to remove pencil marks. U.S. eraser.
UK rubber. Now, hold on. This is the really crucial one the source flagged.
Yes. Explain this one carefully.
Right. In the UK, an eraser is a rubber. But in American English, rubber is a very common slang term for a condom.
So asking for a rubber in an American school or office, bad idea.
Very bad idea. And equally, asking for an eraser in a British shop might get you a blank look before they figure it out. But asking for a rubber is totally normal there for erasing pencil marks.
Definitely a linguistic landmine. You need to be aware of that one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the last batch mail and just miscellaneous bits.
Right, they're the odds and ends category.
Exactly. Place for letters, U.S. mailbox.
UK postbox.
Person delivering letters, U.S. mailman or mail carrier.
UK postmen or postal workers.
The letters themselves, U.S. mail.
UK post. Nice and consistent use of post in the UK there.
It is logical. Time off work school, U.S. vacation.
UK holiday. Whether it's a 2-week trip or just a bank holiday Monday, it's a holiday.
Right. Broader term. Thing between floors, U.S. elevator.
UK lift. Simple. Descriptive. Lift just lifts you up.
Makes sense. Place to watch films, U.S. movie theater.
UK cinema. Cinema feels maybe a little more formal or just traditional.
Yeah, maybe. Baby transport, wheeled thing, U.S. stroller.
Okay.
Push chair.
Baby bed, U.S. crib.
Okay. Push chair is another very descriptive one.
It is. And that thing for a baby to suck on, U.S. pacifier.
UK.
Yeah.
Dummy. Also kind of descriptive, like it's a stand-in, a dummy nipple.
Okay, so even these random items show the pattern. Now, the source specifically pulled out some funny ones. High potential for awkwardness or laughs.
Yes, the greatest hits of transatlantic confusion. The ones to really remember.
Okay, first,
Forever.
we just did it, but it bears repeating. Eraser in the UK.
Condom in the U.S. Use with extreme caution depending on location.
Absolutely. Context is king, but wow, big potential for error.
Massive.
Next, pants. U.S. outerwear, trousers.
UK underwear.
Again, complimenting a Brit on their pants could lead to some serious blushing. Or confusion, at the very least. It's just ripe for sitcom scenarios, isn't it?
Totally. And finally, chips. U.S. crispy snack from a bag.
UK, hot fried potato sticks. U.S. French fries.
So, yeah, if a Brit offers you chips, don't expect Lay's or Walkers.
Expect something hot and probably served with salt and vinegar. A traveler's classic mistake.
These funny ones really do help cement the idea, don't they? How different things can be.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
They're memorable because the potential mix-up is so clear.
So wrapping this up, it's kind of amazing how many vocabulary differences there are. We've really only, skimmed the surface of that list you gave us.
Over 150 words. Yeah, we hit some key ones, though.
I think we got the most common ones and definitely the most memorable ones.
Indeed. And what's interesting is they aren't just random changes. They often give you a little window into, like, different cultural paths or histories,
Yeah.
how these two dialects grew.
Yeah, that's a great point. And for everyone listening, we hope this has been, well, enlightening, but also kind of fun. Understanding these differences, it really can make watching British shows or reading American books richer.
We're just chatting with people, right?
Yeah.
Smooth communication.
Exactly. Helps avoid those awkward pants moments.
Mm-hmm. Which leads to a final thought, maybe something for listeners to chew on.
Okay.
In this world we live in now, so connected, right? Media, internet, travel. We're constantly exposed to both American and British English, and other varieties too.
True.
So what happens to these vocabulary differences long term? Do you think we'll see them kind of merge, like one version starts to win out?
Or maybe they'll stay distinct as markers of identity.
Exactly. Does globalization lead to convergence, or do these differences become even more cherished as signs of cultural identity? There's no easy answer.
That's a really fascinating question, something to ponder as you hear English in all its different flavors out there in the world.
Definitely something to think about.
Hey, you. Ever looked at two pieces of English writing and noticed something? Well, a bit off. Maybe like an extra letter, just hanging around, or a spelling that feels different.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you've hit on a really fascinating linguistic quirk, and that's exactly what we're digging into today.
Exactly. And you sent over some excellent material that really lays out the whole landscape of these spelling differences between American and British English.
Right.
It covers the history, the specific patterns, loads of examples. It's a really thorough overview.
So our goal here is to pull out the most interesting, the most significant bits for everyone listening.
Yeah, distill it down.
We want to understand, where these differences came from, trace them back a bit, and then get into the nitty-gritty, the specific rules, and see them like in action with examples.
And some of the reasons, honestly, are quite surprising when you dig in.
Okay, so where did this divergence actually begin?
Well, before the 1800s, things were, let's say, more fluid, but generally more consistent across the board. English spelling in Britain and America wasn't so sharply divided.
Right. The distinct spellings we see now hadn't really hardened yet.
Exactly.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Enter Noah Webster,
Ah, yes. The key figure.
an American lexicographer. And he played, well, a huge role in deliberately changing American spelling.
He really did. And what's so fascinating about Webster is his motivation. It wasn't just tidying up spelling.
No.
He was really driven by making it more phonetic,
Yeah.
closer to how words actually sounded.
Okay, that makes sense.
But maybe even more importantly, he saw it as a way to forge a distinct American linguistic identity, separate from Britain.
Wow.
It was almost like a declaration of cultural independence through language.
Language as national identity. That's a powerful idea.
It is. And his big move, the landmark moment, was publishing an American Dictionary of the English Language in 1828.
That was the turning point, wasn't it?
Absolutely. That dictionary basically became the rule book for American spelling.
Right.
And Webster wasn't shy about his aims. He famously said something like, "Reform must come from education and national character."
That really underlines his conviction, doesn't it? That language and national identity were, linked.
Deeply intertwined, yeah.
And the specific changes he pushed for were quite fundamental things, like getting rid of silent letters he thought were pointless, streamlining.
And changing those R and tremendings we still see debated today.
Exactly. Which brings us nicely to our first big category, that AUR versus AOR difference.
Ah, yes.
The general rule or tendency is British English keeps the AR. American English often drops the U for just OR.
Right, like COLOU in the UK.
Becomes COLOR in the US.
It fits Webster's goal of simplifying, right?
Yeah.
Why keep the U if you don't really say it?
Precisely. Think of honor versus honor.
Or favor becoming favor.
Behavior changing to behavior. It's a very, very common one.
Yeah, you see it all over the place. And seeing it in a sentence makes it clear. A British book might say, "The color of the sky was breathtaking."
Whereas an American writer would probably put, "The color of the sky was breathtaking." Same meaning, just that one letter difference.
And Webster's logic was basically efficiency. That U was just seen as unnecessary baggage.
Streamlining the look of the word. Got it.
Exactly. Now, another really noticeable one is IC versus ICE.
Okay.
Here, British English often uses ICs.
Well, American English almost always goes for ICs.
Right. So in the UK, you might organize a meeting.
But in the US, you'd organize it. Same with realize, becoming realize.
Or recognize, shifting to recognize. It's a pretty consistent pattern.
Yeah, it is. You might see a British email saying, "We need to finalize the report."
But the American version would be, "We need to finalize the report." Small change, big indicator of origin.
And what's interesting there, as the material pointed out, is that even some British institutions like Oxford University Press, they actually accept the IC's ending too.
That's a great point. It really shows how language isn't totally rigid,
Right. Rules can be flexible.
Even within one dialect, there's room for variation and evolution.
Okay, so what's next?
Well, the next category involves words ending in SERE in British English. These often flip to SER in American English.
This one feels quite intuitive, like Webster wanting it to match the sound more closely.
Exactly. Think center becoming center.
Or meter becoming meter, like for measurement.
Yes, and leader becoming leader.
Theater becoming theater. Very common examples.
Right. So you might ask for directions to the city center in London.
But in New York, you'd be looking for the city center. Same place, different spelling.
Precisely.
Okay, now here's one that always catches my eye. The double L versus single L thing.
Ah, yes. When adding endings to certain words.
Right. American English usually drops one L, doesn't it? Like in past tense verbs.
Generally, yes. Words like cancel, travel, label.
Yeah.
In American English, the past tense often uses one L, canceled, traveled, labeled.
Whereas in British English, you keep the double L, canceled, traveled, labeled.
Exactly. And the present participles too. Traveling in the US, traveling in the UK.
Even adjectives like marvelous in British English.
Becomes marvelous in American English. Well, it feels like a deliberate trim.
Yeah, like they're tidying up extra letters.
Pretty much. And it applies elsewhere too, like British counseling often becoming counseling in the US.
Okay. What about words ending in OGUE, like DIALOGUE?
Good one. Often in American English, that final goo gets snipped off, leaving just ogue.
So catalog can be catalog.
Yes, and dialogue can become dialogue, monologue to monologue.
Although it's funny, you still see catalog with the U quite a bit in the US, especially in more formal stuff.
That's true. It shows that sometimes the older, or let's say more traditional spelling hangs on, even when a simpler form exists. Language is messy like
It
that.
really is.
Now, how about those spellings with A or O that you sometimes see in British English?
Yeah, like in medical terms often. Anemia or pediatric.
Exactly. What's the American approach there?
They usually simplify it, right? Just down to an E.
That's the trend. So anemia becomes anemia.
Pediatric becomes
Well,
pediatric.
Maneuver simplifies to maneuver.
And estrogen to estrogen.
Yeah, it follows that same pattern we've seen streamlining, simplifying.
Definitely consistent. So a British doctor might diagnose anemia.
While an American doctor would write anemia in the chart. Same condition, different spelling convention.
Right. And then there are just others, aren't there? The ones that don't fit neatly into these boxes.
The miscellaneous pile. Yeah, there are quite a few unique ones.
Like tire for a car in the UK.
Being tire in the US, T-I-R-E.
Or paying with a check versus a check.
Yep. And the classic aluminium versus aluminum.
Always strips people up.
It does. We also have defense with a C in British English versus defense with an S in American.
And the license confusion. Is it noun versus verb in the UK?
Generally, yes. License is the noun. License is the verb in British English, whereas American English tends to just use license for both.
Simpler again. Okay, what else is in that pile?
Jewelry often becomes jewelry.
And plow for farming?
Is usually simplified to plow, P-L-O-W.
Wow. It's quite a collection when you lay them all out.
It really is.
So, listeners might be thinking, okay, interesting trip through spelling history, but why does this actually matter to me?
And that's a really crucial question. The practical side of this kicks in heavily when you're writing for an international audience or even just an audience outside your own region.
Absolutely. Clarity is key, right? And avoiding confusion.
Definitely. If your main audience is in the US, using American spellings just feels more natural, more appropriate for them.
And flip side, if you're, say, applying to a UK university or writing for a British publication, using British spelling shows you've done your homework, shows attention to detail.
Cultural awareness, exactly. But the biggest thing really is consistency.
Ah, right. Pick a lane and stay in it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Decide which style, American or British, fits your audience and your purpose, and then just stick to it. Mixing them up can look, well, a bit sloppy or jarring.
Yeah, unprofessional even. And here's a practical tip that came up. Check your spell checker.
Well, absolutely vital.
They usually default to one region or the other. So if you're writing for a UK audience, but your computer thinks you're American,
You might end up with a mix without realizing it. Always worth double-checking those settings.
definitely a good habit to get into.
So, okay, let's just quickly run through the main patterns again. A quick recap.
Good idea. We had British are becoming American or, British Oz often becoming American Oz. British re changing to American og.
Right.
The og ending sometimes shortening to og in the US.
Got it.
The double L in British verb endings often becoming a single L in American English, like traveled versus traveled. And those AO digraphs in British spelling simplifying to just A in American.
That covers the main ones, I think. An excellent summary.
So thinking about all this, the history with Webster, the patterns we see today, it kind of leads to a bigger question, doesn't it?
What's there?
Like, what do these spelling differences really tell us about, cultural identity, how language grows and changes, and sometimes splits?
That is a really thought-provoking point. It makes you wonder, should a global language like English aim for more uniformity?
Or is there actually a richness, a value in keeping these regional flavors, these distinct identities?
Yeah, what's the balance? It definitely makes you think about the deeper connection between the words we use and who we are, culturally speaking.
Food for thought, for sure.
Indeed. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive into the sometimes confusing but always interesting world of British and American English spelling.
Yeah, we really hope you found it insightful and maybe even useful. We're curious, actually, which difference did you find the most surprising? Or maybe the one that annoys you the most?
Huh? Yeah, everyone seems to have one they notice.
Yeah.
But exploring these little quirks, these nuances, it really can offer some big insights into history, culture, and just how dynamic language is.
Something we know you listeners, with your curiosity and interest in getting knowledgeable, can appreciate.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And who knows what linguistic rabbit holes will tumble down next time. Until then, keep questioning, keep noticing. Have you ever noticed how Well, how different English can sound. You hear someone say tomato, someone else says it differently. Or maybe schedule.
Oh, absolutely. That Atlantic divide makes for some really fascinating pronunciation shifts.
Exactly. So today on the deep dive, we're jumping right into that. British versus American English pronunciation. What's going on there?
We're aiming to really break it down. Think of it as exploring why those differences exist, where they came from, and maybe picking up a few pointers along the way.
Right. Our mission today is to get beyond just noticing the differences. We want to understand the key pronunciation patterns, their history, and maybe help you get a feel for both accents.
And we've looked into the background, the history. Plus, we've got about, 8 key pronunciation categories, loads of examples, over 70, I think. We'll even touch on the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, to be really precise.
Sounds good. Okay, chapter 1 then. The big why. Why are they different? Where did this divergence actually start?
Well, a lot of it traces back to the time after the American Revolution. America was forging its own identity, and language was part of that.
Makes sense. A sort of linguistic independence alongside the political one.
Exactly. Plus, you had waves of immigration bringing different languages and accents into the mix in America, which shaped things differently than in Britain.
So what was happening back in Britain then? Was English just staying static?
Oh, definitely not. British English was changing too. Received pronunciation, or RP, what many people think of as the British accent, though it's not the only one, by far really started to become, codified as a sort of upper-class standard in the 1800s.
So RP itself is a specific development.
Precisely. It wasn't how everyone spoke, more like a prestige accent that gained prominence.
Okay, here's a fun fact that really surprised me. I always assumed Americans kept the R sound and Brits lost it somehow. But the history's more complicated.
It really is. Back a few centuries ago, pronouncing the R sound quite strongly, much like in general American English today, was actually common in many parts of England.
Oh.
Yeah. The whole non-rhotic thing, dropping the R, unless there's a vowel after it, that developed later, especially in the south of England, and it became associated with that RP accent we mentioned.
Huh. So the American R is actually closer to the older British way in some respects.
In terms of that specific sound, yes, it's closer to how things were before that non-rhotic shift gained ground in southern England. It's a great example of how language is always evolving.
Fascinating. Okay, let's focus right in on that R sound then, chapter 2. Rhotic versus non-rhotic. Can you define those for us?
Sure. Rhotic simply means you pronounce the R sound wherever it's written. Think American English. Car, hard, corner. You hear the R.
Got it. So American English, rhotic, pronounce the R.
Pretty much, yeah, as a general rule. Now, non-rhotic, which is typical of British RP, means the R sound often gets dropped unless it's followed directly by a vowel sound.
Okay, so it disappears unless it's linking to the next sound.
That's a good way to put it. It goes silent at the end of words like car, or before a consonant like in hard.
Let's get concrete. The word car.
Okay, American English. You hear that clear R at the end.
Right.
British RP, curse. See? No R. The vowel sound might stretch a tiny bit to compensate, but the R itself is gone.
Okay. What about a word with 2 R's, like harder?
Good example, American turf. You hear both R sounds. British RP, not T. The first R, before the D's is dropped, but the second R is actually pronounced, sort of. It becomes more of a vowel sound because it links into the next syllable, but isn't strongly followed by a vowel in the next word, usually. Though if you said harder and harder, that R might link more clearly.
Okay. So it's about the context, too.
It is. Let's try a sentence. It's far from here. American.
Okay, American.
Sure.
Contour is tourist from share. Here and are in far and here.
Exactly. Now, British RP norm. The R and far is gone, and the here becomes more like here.
Big difference when you hear it side by side. Okay, listeners, quick drill for you. Try saying these. Car, far, better, harder. First, try the American way, really hitting those R's.
Then try the British RP way, dropping the final R's, maybe lengthening the vowel a bit. Go on, give it a try.
It feels different in your mouth, doesn't it? Okay, moving on. Chapter 3, another really noticeable one. The letter T, especially when it's between vowels. Flap T versus clear T.
Right. This is a biggie for the sound difference. In American English, that T sound often gets softened when it's between vowel sounds. It becomes a flap.
A flap? What does that sound like?
Like a very quick tap of the tongue. It sounds almost identical to a quick D sound.
Okay.
Like in.
Like in butter. Americans often say D. Hear that? Butter.
Yeah, definitely sounds like a D, and the British way.
In British English, they tend to keep a much clearer, crisper T sound. So butter is Butter. You hear the puff of air with the T.
Okay, butter versus butter. Got it. Another one. Water.
Classic example, American English. That flap again.
Water.
Right. British English, clear T. And notice the vowel sound is often different too, but we'll get to vowels next.
Okay, one more. City.
Hmm.
American. City. Flap T.
British. City. Clear T. It really changes the rhythm, doesn't it?
It does. Makes you think about speech efficiency. Maybe the flap is just quicker to produce. Who knows?
All right, listener participation time again. Try these phrases. Say them the American way first, then the British way. Water bottle.
Better city.
Later on. Focus on that T sound in the middle. Feel the difference.
Good practice. Now, chapter 4, brace yourselves. Vowels. This is where things can get complex.
Oh, yeah, vowel sounds seem to shift all over the place.
They really do. So to make it manageable, we're breaking it down into 5 main areas.
But 5 sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's start with A. The short A sound, like in cat or bath.
Exactly. So take words like bath, path, dance. In standard American English, these usually have that flat A sound, like in cat. So bay, pay, dens.
Okay.
But in British RP, these specific words, and others like them, often take a different vowel, the longer it is sound, like the A in father.
Ah, so it becomes bode, pose, des.
Precisely. It's a very noticeable difference. Often sounds a bit more, well, posh to American ears, perhaps.
Okay, that's the short A. What's B, short O, like in hot?
Right. Words like hot, lot, bother. American English generally uses a known sound here. It's similar to the dojis in father, but usually shorter. Hot, doji, choke.
Got it.
British English, particularly RP, often uses a distinct sound. It's more rounded. Your lips make a slightly rounder shape.
So, har, letters.
Exactly. It's a subtle difference in mouth shape, but you can hear it.
Okay. C long O, like go.
Yes. Words like go, show, home. In American English, this is typically a diphthong, a gliding vowel that starts towards O and moves towards U. Home. British English also uses a diphthong, but it often starts from a more central position, like gliding to U. It's
Tasmerns home.
somer.
Su1.
That's the one. It's a slightly different starting point for the glide. Very common difference.
Okay, 2 more vowel categories. D is R-controlled vowels. This links back to roticity, right?
Absolutely. Words like bird, turn, word. Because American English is erotic, that R heavily colors the vowel sound. You get bird, turn, turd, that distinctive sound.
Right, that very American whirr.
Sound. In non-erotic British English, since the is silent, you just get a long, steady vowel sound.
Oh.
So bird, turned,
Just exactly. The absence of the R makes the vowel sound longer and purer in a way.
Okay, and the last vowel point, E, the trap bath split. This sounds intriguing.
It is rather neat. Basically, this is something that happened historically in British English, but not really in American English.
Okay.
Remember how we said words like bath and dance changed from A to stas in British English?
Yeah.
Well, other words with that same original short A sound, like trap or cat, didn't change. They kept the A sound. So British English has this split. Some short A words stay A, like trap, while others lengthen to des, like bath.
Ah, so American English just kept the A for pretty much all of them, like trap and bath both have A. Generally speaking, yes. That split, choosing which words got the long tour, is a hallmark of Southern British English and RP. It didn't happen systemically in America.
Fascinating how things diverge like that. Okay, that's vowels covered. Phew. Chapter 5, consonants again. We're looking at yod insertion. Sounds like something from Star Wars.
Huh. Not quite. Yod is just the name for the J sound, like the Y in yes.
Okay, J.
And yod insertion is basically the habit, mostly in British English, of slipping that J sound in after consonants like D and or T, but only when they're followed by the oo vowel sound. Ooh.
So between the T and the oo.
Exactly.
Oh.
American English usually goes straight from the consonant to the use.
Give us an example. Tune.
Perfect.
Wow.
American English. Straightforward T, then use.
Right.
British English. Often to hear that little tayun. That's the inserted yod, the J.
Ah, I hear it now. Subtle, but it's there. What about duty?
Same idea.
American.
Yep.
British issues.
Oftenicity.
Okay, and Indonesian.
American.
British shenjuice.
New. It's quite consistent in RP, isn't it?
It is a very regular feature in many British accents, yeah.
Okay, time for another listener drill. Try this sentence. Focus on those D-ling sounds before oo. Say it American first, then British. It's your duty to tune the new guitar.
Feel that little J sound sneaking in for the British version. Duty, tune, new.
Tricky, but cool once you hear it. All right, chapter 6. Let's talk rhythm and melody, word stress, and intonation. Are there general patterns here too?
There are some tendencies, yeah. Though intonation itself is super complex and varies hugely within both countries. But for word stress,
Yes.
there's a bit of a pattern where American English sometimes puts the main stress on a later syllable compared to British English.
Okay, American stress later, British stress earlier. As a rough guide.
As a rough guide, yeah. It's not universal, but you see it in quite a few words.
Let's take garage.
Good one. American English commonly stresses the second syllable. R-U-Z-R-H.
Right. British English often stresses the first. G-A-Raj. Yeah, different feel. How about adult?
American.
Pissed.
Stress on del.
Often
Which-
stress on A.
Okay. And address. Like mailing address.
American, he's a stress. Stress on dress.
British. Stress on ad. It really changes the musicality.
It does. And while overall sentence intonation has its own patterns, rising and falling pitch, these word-level stress differences are a key part of what makes the accents sound distinct.
Definitely. Okay, chapter 7. Silent letters and H dropping. Let's start with a classic debated word. Herb.
Ah, yes. Herb. Simple one. This. American English usually drops the H. Herb. Like herb.
Right.
British English almost always pronounces it. Herb. With the H sound. Why the difference? Maybe French influence was stronger on that word in America. It's hard to say for sure.
Interesting. Now, H dropping, that sounds like something specific.
It is. It's a well-known feature of certain British accents, famously Cockney in London, but also other regional accents. It just means, well, dropping the H sound at the beginning of words. So words that start with H just lose that sound.
Often, yes. It's a strong marker of certain accents and social groups historically, not part of RP, though.
Can you give us examples?
Sure, so house might become A's,
Yeah, well,
and have might become Avs.
Av. Got it. And you mentioned a fun regional twist with Cockney, too.
Yeah. Another really distinctive Cockney feature is changing the sounds.
Oh, how so?
In think, the A often becomes a V sound.
So think
Let's
becomes...
seek, think.
Wow.
And in mother, the A sound often becomes a V sound.
Making mother.
Well,
Mother.
that's wild. Really changes the sound.
It's a very strong characteristic of that dialect.
Yeah.
Shows how much variation exists within British English, too.
Absolutely. Okay, amazing stuff. We've covered so much ground. Now, chapter 8, time to practice. Listener, this is your repeat after me segment. We've got 4 phrases for you.
Yep. Try saying them first in a general American style, then switch to a general British RP style. Really listen to the sounds we've discussed. Okay, I'll say each one twice. American first, then British. Repeat after me. Ready? Number 1. I can't dance in this hot bath. British. A and can't dance, but no hot. I can't dance in this hot bath. British. Boggin and can't dance bath and hot.
Hear those vowel changes. Okay, number 2.
He bought a bottle of water. American. Flap T's and bottle water. He bought a bottle of water. British. Clear tea and bottle water. Maybe different vowel in water.
Feel that T difference. Number 3.
That's my favorite color. American erotic R and favorite color. That's my favorite color. British. Non-erotic. Different vowel in color, perhaps.
R versus no R. Last one, number 4.
The new schedule is on the center table. American erotic R in center. The new schedule is on the center table. British. Don't worry. It has insertion in new schedule. Non-erotic R in center.
Excellent. How did you do? Don't worry, if it feels awkward, it takes practice. Rewind and try again if you like.
Definitely. Okay, final stretch, chapter 9. Mini quiz and recap, just to see what stuck. If you're watching, these would be on screen. Question 1. How do Americans typically pronounce schedule? Is it A, setskd, or B?
That hard 6 sound is the clue. It's B, so's to do.
Got it. Question 2. Which of these accents is generally considered rhotic? A, British, or B, American?
Rhotic means pronounce the R's. That's generally B, American.
Right. And question 3, what's the initial sound you'd likely hear at the beginning of the word garage, spoken in British English RPA, or B, remember the stress?
British stress often on the first syllable. So it's B, no way, isn't Cat's Road.
Nice. Well, quiz complete. Whether you got them all or not, hopefully this deep dive has given you a much clearer picture of the pronunciation landscape.
We've covered quite a bit. From the historical
The
split
influence of RP and immigration,
to the specifics like rhoticity, the flap T,
all those tricky vowel differences like the trap bath split,
yacht insertion, word stress patterns.
and even silent letters and H dropping.
It really highlights how dynamic language is and how these 2 major varieties of English have developed their own distinct sonic identities.
So as we wrap up, here's something to think about. Which words do you say the American way? Which ones lean more British? Do you mix and match?
Most people do, often without realizing it. It depends on so many things, media exposure, who you talk to, maybe even conscious choice sometimes.
It's your own personal blend. There's no single correct way, of course.
Absolutely not. But understanding these variations, maybe it helps you tune your ear a bit better or understand speakers from across the pond more easily.
Totally. Well, that's all for this deep dive. Until next time, cheers.
Or perhaps I should say, take care.
And one final thought to leave you with. Considering how much pronunciation has changed historically, as we've seen,
What might the future hold? With global communication, online communities, will the accents merge more or diverge further in new ways? Something to ponder.